You can roughly locate any community in the world, somewhere along a scale running all the way from democracy to despotism. One community may be near the democracy end, another somewhere in the middle, and a third may be near the despotism end. Let's find out about despotism. This man makes it his job to study these things.
Well, for one thing, avoid the comfortable idea that the mere form of government can of itself safeguard a nation against despotism. Germany, under President Hindenburg, was a republic. And yet in this republic, an aggressive despotism took root and flourished under Adolf Hitler. When a competent observer looks for signs of despotism in a community, he looks beyond fine words and noble phrases.
Which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Many observers have found that two workable yardsticks help in discovering how near a community is to despotism: the respect scale and the power scale.
A careful observer can use a respect scale to find how many citizens get an even break. As a community moves towards despotism, respect is restricted to fewer people. A community is low on a respect scale if common courtesy is withheld from large groups of people on account of their political attitudes. If people are rude to others because they think their wealth and position gives them that right, or because they don't like a man's race or his religion. Equal opportunity for all citizens to develop useful skills is one basis for rating a community on a respect scale. The opportunity to develop useful skills is important, but not enough. The equally important opportunity to put skills to use is a further test on a respect scale. A power scale is another important yardstick of despotism. It gauges the citizens' share in making the community's decisions. Communities which concentrate decision-making in a few hands rate low on a power scale and are moving towards despotism. Like France under the Bourbon kings, one of whom said, "The state, I am the state." Today, democracy can ebb away in communities whose citizens allow power to become concentrated in the hands of bosses.
What I say goes, see? I'm the law around here.
The test of despotic power is that it can disregard the will of the people. It rules without the consent of the governed. Look beyond the legal formalities of an election in measuring a community on the power scale to see if the ballot is really free. If the citizens can vote only the way they're told, a community approaches despotism. When legislatures become ceremonial assemblies only and have no real control over lawmaking, their community rates low on a power scale. In a downright despotism, opposition is dangerous, whether the despotism is official or whether it is unofficial.
The spread of respect and power in a community is influenced by certain conditions, which many observers measure by means of the economic distribution and information scales.
If a community's economic distribution becomes slanted, its middle income groups grow smaller, and despotism stands a better chance to gain a foothold. Where land is privately owned, one sign of a poorly balanced economy is the concentration of land ownership in the hands of a very small number of people. When farmers lose their farms, they lose their independence. This one can stay on, but not as his own boss anymore. To the extent that this condition exists throughout a nation, the likelihood of despotism is increased. In communities which depend almost entirely on a single industry, such as a factory or mine, maintaining economic balance is a challenging problem. If this condition exists over the nation as a whole, so that the control of jobs and business opportunities is in a few hands, despotism stands a good chance. Another sign of a poorly balanced economy is a taxation system that presses heaviest on those least able to pay. A larger part of a small income is spent on necessities such as food. Sales taxes on such necessities hit the small income harder. In the days of the salt tax, feudal despotisms were partly sustained by this and other forms of sales tax. A community rates low on an information scale when the press, radio, and other channels of communication are controlled by only a few people, and when citizens have to accept what they're told. In communities of this kind, despotism stands a good chance. See how such a community trains its teachers.
Bear this in mind. Young people cannot be trusted to form their own opinions. This business about open-mindedness is nonsense. It's a waste of time trying to teach students to think for themselves. It's our job to tell them.
And when teachers put such training into practice, despotism stands a good chance. These children are being taught to accept uncritically whatever they're told. Questions are not encouraged.
How can you ask such a question? Have you got a textbook?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it say here that our law courts are always just?
Yes, ma'am.
Then how dare you question the fact? Sit down.
And so we aren't surprised when...
But it must be true. I saw it in this book, right here.
And if books and newspapers and the radio are efficiently controlled, the people will read and accept exactly what the few in control want them to. Government censorship is one form of control. A newspaper which breaks a government censorship rule can be suspended. It is also possible for newspapers and other forms of communication to be controlled by private interests.
I thought I told you to kill that story. It'll cost us a lot of advertising.
If that story goes out, I quit.
All right.
What sort of community do you live in? Where would you place it on a democracy-despotism scale? To find out, you can rate it on a respect scale and a power scale. And to find out what way it is likely to go in the future, you can rate it on economic distribution and information scales. The lower your community rates on economic distribution and information scales, the lower it is likely to rate on respect and power scales, and thus to approach despotism. What happens in a single community is the problem of its own citizens. But it is also the problem of us all, because as communities go, so goes the nation.
Millie! Millie!
I want to read what it says. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What's that mean, unalienable?
What? Oh, it means that nobody can take it away.
Take what away?
Oh, rights, you know. Rights, rights.
Oh, yeah, like in the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Let's go see it.
See what?
The Bill of Rights.
What's there to see? There's nothing to see. It's just a piece of paper.
Piece of paper. Do you know what it says?
What do you mean, do I know what it says? It says, rights. You know, 7. Don't shoot till you see the whites of their...
How do you know it's there?
It's always there.
What would happen if the Bill of Rights disappeared?
What do you mean disappear? How could it disappear? It's a document designed for the ages, backed by the nation. 7, Tippecanoe and Tyler 2. Give me liberty or give me...
What if the Bill of Rights disappeared? Disappeared.
Hello, dear.
Hi.
Marv, what happened to the paper?
Oh, I didn't notice. Somebody seems to have censored it a little.
Who?
I guess the people in charge of these things.
Are they allowed to do that?
No, sweetie, no, they're not.
Well, somebody ought to complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you?
Me? Well, you know, I'm kind of busy, and, well, anyhow, they left the crossword puzzle in.
Well, I think you ought to...
Listen, stop pestering me, will you, honey? You just stop pestering me.
Hey, look here. What's going on? What are they trying to do? This picture's been censored. What are they doing to the movie? What's this condemned business? Where do they get off telling me what I can see? This isn't what I came to see. Do you agree with what they're doing? They have no right to do this. Are you just going to stand
All
there
right,
while
buddy,
you do
break
this
it
when
up.
you have the right
You
to say
heard
what's
me.
wrong?
Come on, break it up. Come on, buddy, clam up. That's a boy. Just clam up and keep moving.
He's got a right to speak, hasn't he?
Well, I guess, sure.
Well, why didn't you say so?
Well, because he was talking nonsense, and, I didn't agree with it.
Okay, let's go. Break it up. Members of this church can attend the approved church next week.
What's going on here?
Come on, break it up.
Excuse me.
What are you, some kind of smart aleck?
I don't want any approved church, thank you. Just my plain old right. Marvin C. Marvin. What do you want to know for?
You'll find out.
Now listen! There. That'll show 'em. Hey, wait, hey! Okay, I'm coming. You don't have to bust in a... Hey! What do you think you're doing here? Hey! Listen, this is my house. Nobody gave you permission to... Hey, cut that out! I mean, you're getting the floor kind of messed up. Hey, watch it!
Tell us, why did you do it when you didn't?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Have you over an hour, Mr. Martin?
What?
Now, why don't you make it easy on yourself and come clean?
Oh, what'd I do?
Look, Mac, you're in real trouble.
I know, what did I do?
And we're trying to help you, right? Now, you can help us. Just check it.
What church do you go to?
Well, gee, that's kind of personal, you
How
know.
did you vote in the last election?
Listen, you, you can't ask me those kinds of questions.
We can't, huh?
No, no, no! No! It's not allowed. Constitution, Bill of Rights.
What's he talking about? Bill of what?
Rights.
Never heard of it.
How's it go?
Bill of Rights, Bill of Rights, Bill of Rights. In 1492, Columbus crossed the ocean blue. 7 years ago, our father, give me liberty, or Tippecanoe and Tyler too. I don't remember.
Come on, confess you did it.
Did what?
Come on, admit it.
We got a witness.
Witness? Witness that I did it? Who?
You.
Oh, no. No, no, no. No, not allowed. You can't force me to incriminate myself. What do you want me to say?
Order in the court.
How do you plead?
Guilty.
Who's that?
Prosecutor.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
I want a lawyer.
Denied.
Listen, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. I can prove it. I want to call witnesses.
Denied. Now then.
No, sir. I want a jury.
Call the jury.
Call the jury.
Have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. We find the accused.
How can you reach a verdict without hearing the...
We find the accused.
Proceed with the verdict.
We find the accused.
What about my rights?
Denied.
Daddy, Daddy! Freedom of speech!
Freedom of speech!
Bill of Rights! Sixth Amendment!
Bill of Rights, Sixth Amendment.
The right to know charges!
The right to know the charges against me. The right to an impartial jury. The right to counsel. The right to call witnesses.
Come on, confess you did it.
We got a witness.
Who?
You.
Hey, not allowed. Bill of Rights, Fifth Amendment. No person shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. Bill of Rights, Fourth Amendment. Right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizure. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Let it never be said that this great and glorious heritage of ours, this noble document handed down by our forefathers, whose cry was, Give me liberty or give me...
Disappeared. Disappeared.
Come on! It's there.
I was trying to tell you.
Hey, look, us. We're part of it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to...
It's there as long as we believe in it, value it, and use it.
Right.
So you take a good look, young lady, and remember what it's all about.
Take a canoe and Tyler, too?
No, honey. The right to a fair trial and an impartial jury. The right to know the charges against you and be defended by counsel. The right not to be forced to bear witness against yourself. The right to be secure in your person and house and possessions from unreasonable search and seizure. The right to assemble peaceably and petition the government for redress of grievances. The right to freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of speech. The Bill of Rights, spelling out for every race and faith and creed the promise of the Constitution. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
I'm Bill Johnson. Around here, they just call me Dad. I've been trying to read, but I just can't seem to do it. I keep thinking about today, Thanksgiving Day. We Johnsons had a good Thanksgiving, the best we've ever had. And I can't help thinking that what made it better was a real feeling of thankfulness. And that's odd, too, when you consider the shape things were in when I got home from work yesterday. My kids, Dick and Tommy and Susan, were all home from school. And of course, Mother and the baby were there. As kids will, mine were living tomorrow right along with today, looking forward to Thanksgiving. And like most men, I'm glad it was Mother instead of me who had to break the news to them.
Tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
Turkey and dressing and pie and cake.
And fruit salad and whipped cream and cranberries. Gee, I can hardly wait. Me too.
Well, you know, children, we've had a lot of expenses this month, and, well, your father and I thought that... Well, the truth of the matter is, there just won't be any turkey this year.
No turkey for Thanksgiving?
Oh, I'm going to make a pumpkin pie. We'll have plenty to eat, but, well, we'll just have to get along without turkey.
Mom, you don't mean it. It won't be Thanksgiving at all.
Even the pilgrims had a feast. After all, isn't that what Thanksgiving's for? I don't think it's fair.
And it was right there that I came in, right in the thick of it. Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Oh, Mother, Dick, Susan. Well, what's been going on around here? What's the matter with everybody, anyway?
Mom says we aren't going to have any Thanksgiving. No turkey, no good thing.
A fat lot we're gonna have to be thankful for.
Oh, I don't think you kids really mean that.
We do too. We've always had turkey for Thanksgiving.
Yes, and everybody else in the block's gonna have it this year. Same as always.
Yes, we've always had turkey, just as a lot of Americans have had it, and we'll keep on having it. Turkey on Thanksgiving's a great American tradition. But what you kids are saying makes it sound as if the turkey's the only thing we had to be thankful for.
Well, gee whiz, no, Dad. It's not that at all.
Why, no, Dick. With turkey, it's easy to lose sight of what Thanksgiving really means.
And don't think we're just making excuses because we don't have any turkey this year. We know it'll mean a lot more to us the next time we do have it.
Well, sure. Suppose we don't have a bang-up feast. We're still a lot better off than the Pilgrims.
That's it, Dick. Do you other kids see what Dick's trying to say? Turkey or no turkey, we've still got all the freedoms and privileges the Pilgrims gave us. Those privileges have come a lot of things. Things the Pilgrims never even dreamed of.
Why, we could make a list a mile long. Why don't we do it?
Now, hold on a minute. You've got the idea, but it isn't something you can write down like a grocery list. You've got to feel it down deep before you can really be thankful for anything. I tell you what let's do. And let's take a little more time to think this over. When you get right down to it, there are some pretty tough decisions in making up your mind what means the most to you. Your life? Sure, that's one thing you can't get along without. But do you know that there are some places in the world today where you have to get along without just about everything else?
Golly, Daddy.
I guess I kind of got carried away. But I'll bet you one thing. If we really think over what we have to be thankful for, when we sit down to whatever Mother fixes to eat tomorrow, we'll be one family in America that will really have a Thanksgiving dinner. Well, that's how it got started. The Johnsons didn't have any turkey. And the kids, no, I mean everybody, likes to make something special out of a special day. So we fell back on something as old as the Pilgrims, toting up the common, ordinary blessings that we had to be thankful for. That night, I'd see Dick there building his model airplane, and Susan just playing. Only they weren't just playing. They were mulling things over, thinking big thoughts for such young heads. And as for Mother and Tom and baby Janet, and yes, me too, it was as if we had our eyes open for the first time, seeing all the things there were to appreciate in just any ordinary day in America. When Thanksgiving Day got here, we took our places around the table and we were ready. And then, well, we all knew it. There are some things you just can't say. But everybody in his own way knew what he had to be thankful for, and that this was the time to think about it. Tom was first.
I am thankful for getting plenty to eat all the time, with extras that count, like cookies and milk after school. Like Mom says, I'm hungry all the time anyway, and if I didn't live in a country where there was plenty to go around, golly. And I'm thankful for the free public library, where I can get books about adventure. Jack London, Richard Halliburton. Gee, the way they tell a story, it's as good as being there yourself. And it's free, with only a library card.
Yes, Tommy thought about some of the things he ought to be glad for all the time. And somehow turkey and trimming seemed to matter a whole lot less than he thought they did yesterday. Well, then it was Susan's turn. Susan's a happy-go-lucky kid. You'd never credit her with thinking beyond her dolls, but she got right into the spirit of it.
I am thankful we have what we need to wear. Though Mother says it's hard to keep up with us, we grow so fast. I never thought before how many clothes it takes for all kinds of weather, or how it would be to have to do without the right ones. I'm glad to be able to go to Sunday school, or go to any church I want, any Sunday. I'm thankful for my Mother and Daddy, that they are here with us, that both of them aren't too worried about things to take time to have fun with us. I'm glad we're a family, that families are still important in America.
I guess Dick, being the oldest, was having some pretty serious thoughts.
I am thankful for being able to get an education, for living where schools, all schools, open their doors to a guy who wants to learn, where school books are studied instead of burned, where a guy is rated by how much he knows, and the community is rated by how well it teaches him. I'm glad I've got a chance to play, batting a ball around once in a while. Stuff like that. I'm glad it's fun, growing up in America.
Sure. Baby Janet's too young to understand the big word Thanksgiving. She's too little even to tell us the things that make her happy. But we can tell, and maybe she's thinking about them now. Maybe she's thinking about the fun of splashing around in the tub, and about how good it feels to be clean. About playtime with Mother, and the security she feels in Mother's arms. And as for Mother, seems she's always working, cooking, ironing, tending children, daylight to dark. What does she have to be thankful for?
I am thankful that my children had the privilege of being born safely and of growing up healthy and strong. I'm thankful that I have the privilege of guiding them, useful men and women. And I'm thankful for all the things our American system makes possible for the Smiths and the Browns and the Johnsons. For washing machines, hot water out of a tap, and a telephone to call the doctor when one of the family is sick. A car to get Dad to work. Yes, I'm thankful for all the things free people working together can produce. I'm thankful that when my neighbor drops in to borrow a cup of flour, we've got the right to talk about anything we want to. The parent-teacher project, the new mayor, or Jane Jones' hat. And last of all, I'm truly thankful for the peace of mind that Dad's job brings, for knowing that even though there are lots of luxuries we can't afford, there still will always be enough to go around for the things we have to have. I'm glad Dad doesn't work slave hours, that there are evenings and Sundays and vacations when we can all be together.
That's Mother for you, grateful for what America means to her family. And now for me. I've got so many things to be thankful for. I'm thankful for this house. It may need a coat of paint, it has a mortgage, but it's ours, a place where we can be together in privacy. And I'm thankful for the thing that makes this house our home, the happiness here, not just today or on Christmas morning, but on a day-to-day basis all through the year. For knowing that a knock on our door means nothing to fear, a friend calling, or maybe a bill collector, or a kid selling magazines, you never know what to expect. But you can count on one thing. It's not going to be some political gangster coming to drag one of us off to jail because we believe in freedom. And I'm glad that that freedom we've got lets me choose the kind of work I like and can do best. Taking a sluggish motor and making it hum again. Makes me feel that somebody got to his work, or wherever he had to go, just because of me. And feeling like that gives me a lot of satisfaction. And I'm thankful for a newspaper. Just a few cents worth of printer's ink and paper, but more valuable than any amount of money. Because in it, the editor's got the privilege of printing what he thinks. And I've got the privilege of agreeing with him or not, however the facts strike me. And both of us, the editor and I, have the right to act on our opinions on Election Day, to vote for the principles we believe in. And finally, I'm thankful for being able to believe, in spite of everything, that somehow, someway, the unity we've got here in the Johnson family will someday spread to men and nations throughout the world. All these things. Amen.
Hi, gang.
Oh, hi, Mr. Crane.
Ah, that's what I call a little act of patriotism.
What's so patriotic about it? All we're doing is planting a tree. Yes, everybody helps on Arbor Day.
Yeah, well, that's just the point. patriotism is you helping your country to be a better place in all ways. Think about it. See you later.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, come on, put some water.
How can you help? Patriotism is being proud of whatever you are and whatever you do. What ways can you think of to help improve your life and to help improve your country? Is sharing a way? If we learn to care for others, to respect others, we'll learn how to care for, to respect our country.
Gee, Mike, thanks for letting me use your glove. You helped win the game for us, didn't you? Yeah. It's a good thing I have my extra glove with me, right? Right.
Sometimes we work a little extra, a little harder, not just because it's good for you, but because it gets to be good for everybody. Good people make a good country. Our days are very busy and we see a lot that's good and a lot that's not so good. How do we appreciate the good? And how do we correct the bad?
Yeah, that's right, Ronnie. We could do a lot. You know, sort of fix it up. Hey, where are we going to get all the painting and cleaning stuff? Why don't we just talk to the class? How about a field that's going through the neighborhood?
Your neighborhood is a little country, and if you know how to make a good neighborhood, you're going to know how to make a good country. Being proud of where you live is being patriotic. Doing something about it is even more patriotic.
Then I'll push it in there. Got it right, no, over a little more, over that way. Wait. Okay, now hold it. Satisfaction with a day's work is a wonderful feeling. Taking the time to show love is a very important way to be a good person.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Your family is a little country, and you can learn there. You can learn everywhere about your country, and you can learn how to make your country go. That's patriotism.
I want to pinch you. You all right? I'm okay, just a little scared, I guess. There have been a lot of close calls in this corner. Yes, I know. We ought to do something.
Your councilman is Everett Gerard. And he will help you if you will help him. But first, you must know what your problem is. Remember, he's your representative in government.
Dear Mr. Councilman,
My friend almost got hurt real bad last week at the corner of Maple and Locust. I wish you would put a stop sign there. Thank you, Kyle Conrad.
It's your community as much as any other person's. It's your responsibility. How can you show your responsibility?
Mary, get me the city engineer, would you please? John, Gerard here. Remember we had some discussion about a stop sign at Maple and Locust? I got another letter today, this time from a little kid. I think you better put it on the agenda for the next meeting. All right? See you later.
It's your country, isn't it? Every day you may have some small chance to make it a better country.
I don't think we should take pictures here. Oh, that's all right.
But that sign says that it's not all right. Why don't you go over there behind the ball diamond? Then those flowers will be here the next time you come back to the park, right? Great. Thank you. Cooperation is a very good way of being patriotic. Cooperation with people and cooperation with the land. How can you cooperate with your land? Well, for one way, by looking, really looking. If you find the beauty and the goodness in nature, don't you think you'll find the beauty and goodness in yourself? What is patriotism? Patriotism is making your country a better place. Patriotism is being proud of yourself and your work. Patriotism is sharing. Patriotism is cooperation. Patriotism is being responsible. Patriotism is love. Patriotism is looking, and really appreciating. There are many ways to show your patriotism. Some small, some large, but all important. All of them, ways of showing your love of country, showing your patriotism.
Was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the turtle was alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked and covered. He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Duck and cover.
Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing. With this duck and cover.
This is an official civil defense film produced in cooperation with the Federal Civil Defense Administration and in consultation with the Safety Commission of the National Education Association.
Produced by Archer Productions, Incorporated. Hey, Bert, come on out and meet all these nice people, please. All right. We really can't blame you. You see, Bert is a very, very careful fellow. When there's danger, this is the way he keeps from being hurt. Sometimes it even saves his life. That's why these children are practicing to duck and cover just as you do in your school. We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous. Since it may be used against us, we must get ready for it, just as we are ready for many other dangers that are around us all the time. Fire is a danger. It can burn whole buildings if someone is careless. But we are ready for fire. We have a fine fire department to put out the fire, and you have fire drills in your school so you know what to do. Automobiles can be dangerous too. They sometimes cause bad accidents, but we're ready. We have safety rules that car drivers and people who are walking must obey. Now, we must be ready for a new danger, the atomic bomb. First, you have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes. We hope it never comes, but we must get ready. It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. If you were not ready and did not know what to do, it could hurt you in different ways. It could knock you down hard, or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. But if you duck and cover like Bert, you will be much safer. You know how bad sunburn can feel. The atomic bomb flash could burn you worse than a terrible sunburn, especially where you're not covered. Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the Turtle, so we have to cover up in our own way. First, you duck, and then you cover. And very tightly, you cover the back of your neck and your face. Duck and cover underneath a table or desk or anything else close by. In Betty's school, they're talking about the atomic bomb too. Betty is asking the teacher, how can we tell when the atomic bomb may explode? And the teacher is explaining that there are two kinds of attack, with warning and without any warning. We think that most of the time we will be warned before the bomb explodes, so there will be time for us to get into our homes, schools, or some other safe place. Our civil defense workers, our men in uniform, will do everything they can to warn us before enemy planes can bring a bomb near us. You may be in your schoolyard playing when the signal comes. That signal means to stop whatever you are doing and get to the nearest safe place fast. Always remember, the flash of an atomic bomb can come at any time, no matter where you may be. You might be out playing at home when the warning comes. Then be sure to get into the house fast, where your parents have fixed a safe place for you to go. If you are not close to home when you hear the warning, go to the nearest safe cover. Know where you are to go, or ask an older person to help you. You know the places marked with the S sign? They're safe places to go when you hear the alarm. If there is a warning, you will hear it before the bomb explodes. But sometimes, and this is very, very important, sometimes the bomb might explode without any warning. Then the first thing we would know about it would be the flash. And that means duck and cover fast, wherever you are. There's no time to look around or wait. Be like Bert. When there is a flash, duck and cover, and do it fast. Here are some older boys showing what to do if the flash comes when you are not in the classroom. This is what to do if you should be in a corridor. You duck and cover tight against the wall this way. Remember to keep your face and the back of your neck covered tightly. Try to fall away from windows or doors with glass in them. Then, if the glass breaks and flies through the air, it won't cut you. You might be eating your lunch when the flash comes. Duck and cover under the table. Then, if the explosion makes anything in the room fall down, it can't fall on you. Getting ready means we will all have to be able to take care of ourselves. The bomb might explode when there are no grown-ups near. Paul and Patty know this, and they're always ready to take care of themselves. Here they are on their way to school on a beautiful spring day, but no matter where they go or what they do, they always try to remember what to do if the atom bomb explodes right then. It's a bomb, duck and cover. Paul and Patty know what to do. Paul covered the back of his head so that he wouldn't be burned, and Patty covered herself with the coat she was carrying. They knew how to duck and cover. They acted right away when the flash came. If they had been at this doorway when the bomb flashed, Paul and Patty would have ducked and covered this way, like this girl. Heavy doorways are a good place to duck and cover. She will be safer, too. Here's Tony going to his Cub Scout meeting. Tony knows the bomb can explode any time of the year, day or night. He is ready for it. Duck and cover. Attaboy, Tony. That flash means act fast. Tony knows that it helps to get to any kind of cover. This wall was close by, so that's where he ducked and covered. Tony knew what to do. Notice how he keeps from moving or from getting up and running? He stays down until he is sure the danger is over. The man helping Tony is a civil defense worker. His job is to help protect us when there is danger of the atomic bomb. We must obey the civil defense worker. We must know how to duck and cover in the school bus or in any other bus or streetcar. Duck and cover. Don't wait. Duck away from the windows fast. The glass may break and fly through the air and cut you. Sundays, holidays, vacation time, we must be ready every day, all the time, to do the right thing if the atomic bomb explodes. Duck and cover. This family knows what to do, just as your own family should. They know that even a thin cloth helps protect them. Even a newspaper can save you from a bad burn. But the most important thing of all is to duck and cover yourself, especially where your clothes do not cover you. No matter where we live, in the city or the country, we must be ready all the time for the atomic bomb. Duck and cover. That's the first thing to do, duck and cover. The next important thing to do after that is to stay covered until the danger is over. Yes, we must all get ready now, so we know how to save ourselves if the atomic bomb ever explodes near us. If you do not know just what to do, ask your teacher when this film is over. Discuss what you could do in different places if a bomb explodes. Older people will help us as they always do. There might not be any grown-ups around when the bomb explodes. Then, you're on your own.
Remember what to do, friends. Now tell me right out loud. What are you supposed to do when you see the flash? Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Duck and cover.
Loretta Young? Mr. Bailey's having some people over here at the house tonight. He'd like to know if you would come. Uh-oh. Miss Young, Mr. Bailey told me to tell you that would be after dinner. That's right. Goodbye. Hello, Miss Irene Dunn? This is Rochester over at Mr. Bailey's house. He'd like to know if you could come over tonight. He told me to be sure to tell you that... Oh, that's right. I forgot. You've been here before. Goodbye. Cigarette, anyone?
Thanks, Paul.
All right, Eddie.
Oh, that's Jack.
Mm-hmm. Here, Bill.
Well, hello, everybody. Glad you could come. Everybody comfortable?
Yes, yeah.
Good, good.
Cigarette, Jenny?
Oh, thank you. Now, the reason I asked you all over here is because I want you to meet Father James Keller, who is coming by in just a few minutes. He wants to talk to you about making a movie. Now, I know that everybody in Hollywood wants to make a movie, but this fellow happens to have a very good idea for one. You see, Father Keller is the head of the Christophers. Now, as some of you may know, the main idea behind this movement is to encourage more good, decent, normal people to take up careers that strongly affect the fate of this country. Like education, government, labor management, and in the fields of writing, like newspapers, books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and television. Now, I know this is a pretty big order, but the Christopher movement has been sweeping the country. So much so that it has reached a point where Father Keller has been able to cover only a small portion of the invitations for talks on the Christopher. And he thinks that a picture explaining the idea would be a good substitute for a talk.
I think it's a good idea.
I think it's an excellent idea.
Father Keller.
Oh, hello, Father.
I suppose Jack told you that the chief purpose of the Christophers is to get more people of high purpose into the vital fields that affect, for better or for worse, the lives of the majority of mankind. The fields of teaching, government, writing, labor, social service, and library work. And Jack mentioned that we were interested in one picture. As a matter of fact, I'd be interested in lots of pictures on the Christopher idea, because I don't know of any medium in which we could reach the millions of people more effectively through the motion pictures. And you seem to have a question.
Well, you know, I suppose it is a good thing to get into one of those fields, but Father, it's not quite so easy for young people to get any kind of job these days.
Well, that's just the point, Anne. As long as it is difficult, why not try for a job that counts? Instead of just taking something where you're filling in time between 9 and 5, why not get a job where you're doing something, a job with a purpose?
Oh, a job with a purpose, so you can whistle while you work.
Yes, very good, Anne. That's the way to put it. Whistle while you work. But it's really much more than that, too. I'm convinced we're on the brink of the greatest peace the world has ever seen, or the worst disaster.
You make it sound like a matter of life and death, Father.
But Bill, I really feel it is. Here we are in the greatest country in the world, about the only country left intact. And whether we like it or not, I'm afraid, as America goes, so goes the world.
Father, that's a frightening thought.
Yes, Loretta, but a glorious challenge. It's a wonderful time to be alive. Just think, a little handful of people can change the whole course of history.
Well, maybe more than a handful.
I mean, just that, a handful. 1% is nothing more than a handful. And just think what that 1% has been doing to mess up the world. And they get in the fields that count.
That's right. You never see any of those, pardon me, Father, chaps out at the ball game selling hot dogs. How do you do?
You're right you are, Paul. They're in there pitching. Call them what you like, they have one thing in common. They hate the basic truth on which our nation is founded, that every human being is a child of God, that he gets his rights from God, that the purpose of state is to protect those God-given rights. They, every one of them, get into fields where they can eliminate that truth.
So the purpose of the Christopher movement is to spark enough people to get them into the same fields and work as hard to build as they do to destroy.
Yes, Bill, that's just it. I'm really convinced that we can find enough people who will be fired with the love of God and country, who will gladly get into these vital fields, dedicate their lives, and get into government and teaching and all the rest of these important spheres, and work hard to keep in there that basic truth in which our country is founded. To be for what these other people are against. And number one item is the Declaration of Independence. No, that's not everything, but it's mighty important. I don't think many people realize the close connection that the founders of our country explicitly stated was between God and country. Over and over again, they emphasized that was the cornerstone of our liberty. And 4 times in the Declaration of Independence, they repeated over and over again that our liberty depends upon God.
That's right.
Do you know the Declaration, Paul?
Naturally. It goes as follows. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them.
Remarkable, Paul. You're one of the first persons I've ever met that know that much of the Declaration. This something I have here I'd like to show you. Right in the very first sentence of the Declaration, it states very explicitly that all law flows from God. And then there's another reference to God in the very next sentence.
The very next sentence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights.
Amazing, Paul. And he knows it word for word, too. Here's an odd thing about that second reference to God. It wasn't in the first version at all. It's a straight write-in. Here it is, a photostatic copy of the original draft. The first version said, all men are created equal, and from that equal creation, they derive certain inalienable rights. But apparently they want to emphasize the point still more. So you can see where Jefferson crossed out the phrase, from that equal creation, they derive certain inalienable rights, and wrote in the phrase, they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Now that's not the only change that was made in the Declaration. When it was submitted to the first Congress, they made several changes, several deletions, but they insisted on only 2 additions, and both those additions were reference to God, and they're both in the last paragraph.
The last paragraph.
The last paragraph. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world.
Very good, Paul. Appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world. That's just the point they want to emphasize. And then again in the last paragraph.
And for the support of this declaration with a firm reliance on divine providence.
Thanks a million, Paul. You were a big help.
No reflection, Paul, but how did you learn all of that?
Yeah, I'd like to know, too.
Well, the teacher used to keep me in after school a lot. I bet I wrote that in the blackboard 5,000 times. I'll say this for the woman, though. She didn't have me writing cat and dog or Paul was a bad boy. She must have a lot of that Christopher purpose we've been talking about.
You know, that 1%'s a cozy group. All they want to do is tear the heart out of the Declaration.
And that's bad enough, Bill, but they're out to do much more than that. They want to destroy the very pursuit of happiness, the whole reason for being, the joy of living that's come down through 20 centuries of Christianity. And for over 3,000 years, the Jews have carried the sublime truth that man is made in the image and likeness of God, that he has an eternal destiny. And all of this stands out ever so much more clearly when you think of what Adolf Hitler and Karl Marx said about their idea of the worth of the human being. Here are Hitler's words. He said, to the Christian doctrine of the infinite significance of the individual human soul, I oppose with icy clarity the saving doctrine of the nothingness and insignificance of the human being. And Karl Marx put it in a slightly different way, but his idea was just the same. He said, the democratic concept of man is false because it is Christian. The democratic concept holds that each man is a sovereign being. This is the illusion, dream, and postulate of Christianity.
Then our position is crystal clear, Father. We say man is a creature of God, responsible to God. That 1% say that man is a nobody.
Yes, just a nobody worth about $1.89, just a bunch of chemicals. And they don't want men to know his sacred worth. And that's why they swarm in every field they can to eliminate every trace of man's dignity. They want to wipe it out, eliminate it from the face of the earth.
Well, is it correct to say, then, that the Christophers are an anti-communist movement?
No, the problem as we see it is this. It's getting good people in, getting the good citizen to do his part in saving our country and saving the world. And so, the Christopher approach emphasizes the affirmative, the constructive, doing something positive. We say that it's much more important to chase good people in than it is to be too preoccupied chasing evil people out, essential as that is. I don't know how many of you realize it, but according to reliable estimates, 60% of the parents of America don't want their own children to work for their own government. Can you think of any quicker way to wreck any country? Then, on top of that, 1 million teachers are needed in the schools of America. 6,000 little public schools have closed because of lack of teachers. Fewer and fewer parents are encouraging their children to take up writing careers. 17,000 librarians are needed, tens of thousands in the social service field. I could go on and on, but it's more or less the same old story of what happened in Germany. Most of the good Germans wanted good government, good education, good everything else. But they didn't want to be bothered. They wanted somebody else to do it. You know the old story. Everybody wanted to eat, but nobody wanted to cook.
We know who wound up doing all the cooking.
Yes, Jack, and the world has had indigestion ever since. But the Nazis weren't strong in the beginning, but they swarmed into every vital field. The lines were drawn then, and the lines are drawn now. We're either for God or against God. If it's the latter, we'll pay the penalty and soon.
William Penn said something along that line about being ruled by tyrants. I remember he said...
Those who are not governed by God are ruled by tyrants.
Is that what you meant, Irene?
Yes, Father, something like he said was what I meant.
Well, anyhow, that's where the Christopher approach comes in. We feel that something can be done soon. As soon as there are more people turning on lights than they're turning them off, there'll be a wonderful change for the better. Just recently, I finished a quick trip around the country. I gave talks in 23 cities, 95 talks, a little over 4 weeks. Every place you go, you find wonderful people, all ready and set to do something to change the world for the better.
Yes, Father, the woods are full of good people. Now all we have to do is get them out of the woods.
Father, you mentioned that you had been all over the country and you met some very fine people. Could you give us an example, for instance, of some constructive thing that's been done?
I certainly can, Loretta. I'd give you hundreds of them. But here's one that I think will interest you in particular. I was down in Texas not long ago, and I met this 23-year-old Baptist school teacher. She said she'd read an article about the Christophers in a magazine. And the point that she liked best was its emphasis on what little people can do to change the world for the better. She said, and it was wonderful to hear the way she said it, she said, you know, for the first time in my life did I realize a little person like myself counts. And then she went on to explain that she was teaching in schools. It was hard work and so forth. But she said, most of the girls I know are getting out of the teaching field. They say there's not enough money in it. The pay is too low.
Well, after all, Father, they do have a point. They don't make very much money, do they?
That's right. Well, there's something
Father, is it even a living wage?
Well, I think for most it is, Loretta. It's a living wage, but for many not. And that's part of our job, to get a better wage for them, too. But this girl had a very fine solution for the present. She said she was going to stay in there teaching. And moreover, and this was an important point, she said, I'm going to become a committee of one and get as many girls as I can to get in the teaching field. It was wonderful to hear her enthusiasm. And then she said, I got my first recruit yesterday.
Well, Father, tell them one about the young fellow in the gas station.
Oh, yes, there's a nice point to that story, Jack. This young Negro student was working his way through college, trying to support his family. He had a job at a filling station. A little bit of prejudice developed, and about 10 or 12 people stopped buying gasoline. The man the owner of the station was quite worried. It was only a small business that he had, and he felt that he had let the man go. Word got around, and this little housewife heard about it, and she felt she should do something. She'd caught this Christopher idea. She should reach out to the world, and here was a specific opportunity. So in a very nice way, she walked down to the station and asked if there was anything she could do. And this man was so surprised. He said, well, you're the first one that's offered to do anything. Everybody's complaining. Nobody's doing anything. But she said, how many customers would you lose if you kept him? We said, I don't know, about 20 maybe. She said, if I go out and get you 20 new customers, would you keep them? He said, I certainly will. She went out and got 25 new customers. One of the big magazines picked up the story and carried it to at least 15 million readers. I dare say that maybe 1 million people have done things through her example. She wanted to reach the world. Well, she did reach the world.
Father, I read a story in Reader's Digest about that Russian school teacher, Madame Kosenkina, wasn't that her name? Now, wasn't that in some way connected with the Christophers?
I think that's an ideal story to illustrate what one little person can do. Some time ago, I talked with a young couple who live on a farm in Connecticut about the Christopher idea. This young couple have a wonderful farm, 6 children, and 64 cows. And when I talked about the Christophers to this lady, she said, listen, we got enough to do right here. And furthermore, we're buried off here in the middle of Connecticut. And I said to her, I said, well, I don't care whether you're buried in the middle of Alaska. You can still do something to help the world. The world needs people like you. Well, I thought I'd hear nothing about it. 6 months later, she was sitting at breakfast with her husband and read in the morning paper about this Madame Kosenkina, the Russian school teacher who had been taken a prisoner. I imagine 100 million people read about it and said, isn't that too bad? And then turned to the one ads or something like that. You know the old story. She turned to her husband, she says, Dan, we can't allow a thing like this to happen in our country. Let's do something about it. He said, fine, I'm with you. Her brother, a young lawyer, came up from New York for a quiet weekend. No sooner does he get in the house than Louise goes right at him. She says, Peter, we must do something to help that poor school teacher. He wants to get out of it. He says, forget it. After all, it's not our business. And she turns to him, she says, it isn't our business? If it isn't our business, whose business is it? Well, he was sparked. He went right through it. He got a group in New York to help him obtain a subpoena. He carried it himself over to the Russian consulate. He stood across the street wondering how he would ever get in the hands of the Russian consul general. He was standing there hoping and praying for something to happen. Something did happen. Up drove the Russian consul general, steps out of his car, hurries up to the front door, and fortunately left his key inside. And he rang the bell. Meanwhile, Pete saw what was happening. He rushes across the street, and it was quite a job, but he got the subpoena in the hands of the Russian consul general. Well, everything began to happen. The word of this went all over the world by radio, and by a strange course of events, it went right into the room on the 3rd floor of the Russian consulate, where there had been a radio left by accident, and here, seated, a prisoner, was this Russian school teacher. She told us afterwards that when she heard her name over the radio, when she looked out and saw hundreds of people milling around outside, she came to just one conclusion. Somebody in America was fighting for her. She didn't know who it was. But it thrilled her so much, she just wanted to jump into America. But how could she do that? She went to the window, and then she looked out. Here she was on the 3rd floor. But that wouldn't stop her. Nothing was going to stop her if she could just save her life. Anything. She saw a wire stretched across the courtyard. She felt if she could only hit that, it might break her fall and save her. She jumped. She nearly tore off her hand. But it broke her fall, and she was very seriously injured. It took her months to recover. But when she did recover, she had only one request, and that was to see the one person who had thought out into the world to help a little person like her.
Oh, Father, that's a marvelous story. And that's what the Christophers can do, huh?
I could tell you thousands of stories like these. Each one emphasizes over and over again the big things that little people can do. I'm convinced that God will bless any old fool who will try. I don't think he'll bless the smartest person in the world who says it can't be done. You know, our forefathers left us a wonderful pattern, a heritage we should cherish. Each one of us can play a part in preserving it. Yes, you and you and you and everybody else can do something to change the world for the better.
Father, you have a customer.
You can count on me too, Father.
I'm in. I think I can speak for everybody.
Why not? You've been doing it all evening. Father, I think what Paul means is that you don't have to take a vote. You can have a boost from all of us here. Because I really believe that everybody here is thrilled with the idea that all over the country are simple enough and wise enough to know that if you don't belong to the human family, you don't belong to anything. In other words, If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything.
That's right, Loretta. Very true.
Oh, here's a telegram, Father Keller.
Oh, Rochester, thank you. Would you mind holding this, please?
Not at all.
Oh, it's from Bob Hope. He wants me to phone him.
Bob?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get him for you. I'll get him on the phone. See, he lives right over here in North Hollywood. No distance at all, you know.
Maybe, but that telegram says from Houston, Texas.
Father, don't you think it would be better to send Bob, write him a letter? You know, sometimes the written word, you can get so much more out of it.
Yeah. I know how you feel, Jack, but Bob says phone him and right away. If it makes any difference, I'll be glad to.
Oh, now wait a minute. No. Now, Father, please, no. Certainly not. I'll get him on the phone for you. Yeah. What's the number?
Jackson 4219. Houston, Texas.
I know about Houston. I know. Oh, operator, I'd like to get Mr. Bob Hope, please, in Houston, Texas. Yeah, the number is Jackson 4219.
Gee, Jack, I hate to put you to this expense.
Oh, listen, Bob, let me explain something to you. Believe me, on the radio, I'm supposed to be a real cheap, stingy character, you see, but that's only to get laughs, that's all right. You know, you have to get laughs, but don't confuse that with the real me, because in real life, I'm not like that at all, you know. Here he is. I'm all right.
Hello, Bob. How are you? How is it down there? Fine. I hope to get down there myself in a few weeks. How's the weather?
You asked him that already.
Sure. Fine. Did Dolores go with you?
Father, ask him what he wants.
Bob, I'm at Jack's. Can you make it snappy?
Yes, Father? Uh-huh. I can hardly hear you. Well, I have a little... Wait till I turn this Crosby record on. Just... Hey, fellas, will you pipe down? We got talking long distance to Hollywood. It's expensive. How can I explain it to you? Jack Benny's paying for it. Father, I just saw America. Must be radio man. Hey, Father, I'm sorry I wasn't at Jack Benny's house for the meeting. I just want you to know I'm behind this project for the Christophers. Well, it seems like a good idea to me, getting the people back to the basic idea behind the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, you couldn't push a better product. Seems to me you don't hear much anymore about the Declaration. All you hear about is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Let's not forget for a moment that they don't add up to much if you pass up the Declaration. Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of folks here in Texas will be behind you. Just their dish. Good luck, Father.
Thanks a lot. I'll be seeing you. Bye-bye. Jack, I can't begin to thank you for this. It's marvelous.
Don't thank me, Father. I want to thank you for the chance to help out on an idea as important as this. And of all the things you mentioned, the one that stands out in my mind is the part about the Declaration of Independence.
Jack, it stood out in somebody else's mind, too. I wanted to tell the rest about it, but I didn't dare take any more of their time. I have a copy here of Lincoln's lost speech. If I may, I'll leave it with you. Notice his magnificent language. Just read a bit of that.
1858. This was their lofty and wise and noble understanding of the justice of the Creator to his creatures, to the whole great family of man. In their enlightened belief, nothing stamped with the divine image and likeness was sent into the world to be trodden on and degraded and embruted by its fellows. Now, my countrymen, if you have been taught doctrines which conflict with the great landmarks of the Declaration of Independence, if you have listened to suggestions which would take from its grandeur and mutilate the symmetry of its proportions, if you have been inclined to believe that all men are not created equal in those inalienable rights enumerated by our Charter of Liberty, let me entreat you to come back. Return to the fountains whose waters spring close by the blood of the Revolution. Think nothing of me. Take no thought for the political fate of any man whomsoever. But come back to the truths that are in the Declaration of Independence. Do not destroy the immortal emblem of humanity, the Declaration of Independence.
God bless you, Jack. God bless you to Rochester. Thank you.
When you're in high school, you don't have too much trouble getting along. Oh, you have your ups and downs. Things happen. But you know pretty well what you can and can't do. There isn't very much about your life at school that's too difficult,
emotionally. You know pretty well what to expect. Yes, most of the time, high school is a pretty comfortable place compared to this. When you're in service, you're going to have to find out again what you can and can't do. You won't know just what to expect. You'll have lots of adjustments to make. Sure, a situation like this is rough. But what are you going to do? You can't cut class, and you can't quit, and you can't talk back. Or if you do, this man just hasn't been able to adjust himself to taking orders. That's a pretty important part of military life, you know. It's one of the big adjustments you're going to have to make. Have you ever fired a rifle? For some people, it's fun. But fun isn't what you're training for in service. This is business. The business of life or death. Military training is education for war. Most of us hate war and the very idea of combat and violence. That's another big adjustment you'll have to make. Have you ever been homesick? Maybe you thought you never would be. When was the last time you cried? You'll say you gotta stop this. You're a man now, not a kid. But you can't help missing Mom and Dad, and your friends back home, and the things you were used to back in high school where life was pretty comfortable. That's another adjustment you're going to have to make. In time, this fellow will be okay. But when he entered service, he wasn't ready emotionally for the big change. How about you? Are you going to be ready when the time comes for you to meet these new situations? Will you be ready to obey orders and comply with military discipline? Will you be ready to take your part in education for war? Will you be ready to stand on your own, away from your family and friends? How about it? Can you make these adjustments without an emotional upset? Starting now, there's a way for you to get all this in perspective. Take stock of yourself. Think.
Well, how do I stack up emotionally? How about last week? Jim was giving out free advice about how to improve my grip. I didn't take it very well. I don't like criticism. How about taking orders? What about the time I was all dressed up for that big date? So, the car wasn't washed. Well, I should have seen to it. Why blame Dad? Who's going to do my work in service? The other day, Jane was playing dress-up with Mother's shoes and my baseball cap. Lose my temper easily, don't I? And then there was the accident. Boy, did I get worked up. Real panicky. Let's face it, I sure need a lot of self-discipline before I enter service.
That's right. Take stock of yourself, and then take action. You'll need time, but you can help yourself. An assignment is going up on the board. Orders, from the teacher to the class. But you don't much like taking orders. It annoys you when people tell you what to do or how to do something. All right. Now you can slip by most of the orders you get. to go on that way. Later on, taking orders will be expected of you, demanded of you. So now's the time to start practicing. Consider all your assignments as orders, and make it your business to follow them. Try to understand the real purpose and what your part is, and why the orders have to be followed to achieve that purpose. If you consider suggestions, advice, assignments as orders now, you'll adjust easier later on. Another part of getting ready for military discipline is developing self-discipline. If you usually duck your responsibilities, it'll pay you to start changing your ways. If there's a job to be done, get it started. Take on responsibility for getting certain things done around the house, at school, in your community. Even if it's a job you don't like, stick it out. Learn to take it. As long as it's your job, do it. Do your best at the jobs you take on, and take on new jobs. Look for things that you can be responsible for. Discipline yourself. Plan to do things, then do them. Later on, you'll have plenty of responsibilities that you'll have to manage. Learning to accept them now will help you over a big hurdle. Later on, you'll find it easier, too, if you've had some experience now being away from home. Have you ever gone off on a summer job with your friends and spent a night in the city on the way? You had a lot of problems, didn't you? Just being on your own. Being limited to the amount of money you could spend. Having to make all your own decisions. Having to make all your own arrangements. While you were away, your folks missed you, sure. But both they and you feel more confident now about that time later on, when you'll be away from home for a much longer period. Maybe you're thinking and worrying about combat, the violence and the dangers. Well, think about the men you know who have been through military service. Even though they served, many of them in wartime, few saw combat. Few had to use their combat training to defend their own lives, and very few of them were wounded. Think about it. Take the problem to church if you need help. Talk it over there. Get yourself straightened out. Yes, get yourself ready emotionally, so that when you're away from home, you can adjust to the new situation. Get yourself ready to take your part in education for war. And get ready for discipline and the military situation in general. Learn how to take it, for life in the service can be rough. Or it can be an interesting, new experience. Remember, others have been in service and made out all right. In fact, many millions of fellows like you have faced the same problems and met them successfully. And you can too, even better than they have. If you start now to get ready emotionally for what lies ahead.
Let's talk about what we have here in the United States, what makes it tick, and what we want to do with it. Let's start with you and what you want. What does anybody want? Do you think you're different from other people? Millions have worshipped the strong man, the leader. Millions let somebody else decide what they want. They worked, fought, died for government by strong men, by fear, by force. Yeah, a dictator. No, not everybody agrees. Over here, we don't like dictators. We don't worship the strong man. We worship as we please. Our government represents us, the people. Our government is our servant, not our master. We can work, we can fight too. The government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. That's what Lincoln said. Not that everybody agreed even then. Lincoln was shot, remember? Any government, a lot of power. But keep in mind that the power can come from the top down or from the bottom up. And it makes a lot of difference to you, what you can do and what you can't do, where and how you live and work. Let's start from there, where we live and work, what we have in the United States. 1 worker out of 5 lives close to the land on our 6 million farms and ranches. Look them over, big ones, little ones, all kinds. 4 workers out of 5 work away from the land in almost 4 million other places. Big plants, small plants, peanut stands, offices. Altogether, that makes about 10 million places where we can work and make a living. How we work and how we live makes all the difference in what we have in the United States. But how did we get what we had? Suppose just for a moment that we didn't have our 6 million farms and ranches. Let's get rid of them. All of them. Okay? No more farms or ranches. Now, let's get rid of industry too. Then we won't have to worry about that. Fine. No more industry, no more places to work. While we're at it, let's go all the way. Let's wipe out all cities, towns, homes, everything. Now what? Well, now we're starting the hard way, close to old Mother Nature. You and everybody else on Earth have some things in common. You want to stay alive. To stay alive, you have to have food. You have to have some shelter against the elements. You want to be as comfortable as you can. So let's start with this common problem and see what it takes.
What are we going to do?
Better find somewhere to go. There's going to be a storm any minute. Give me the baby. Come on.
Better than nothing, I guess. I'll take it easy, honey.
It's so cold. Could you build a fire?
Sure. Gee, I don't seem to have any matches. Don't worry, we'll work out something. Looks like this might blow over. You stay here. I'll go out and see what I can find.
Don't go far, Tom. There, darling. I know you're hungry.
How long do you think she can feed that baby, unless she gets some food herself? Not long. How long could you stay alive, dumped into a real wilderness? Most people would starve to death. And yet, it's funny, isn't it? It's all there. Sun, air, soil, water, minerals, metals. It's all right there. But how to get at it? Let's say you're lucky to start with. You find some water so you won't die of thirst.
No, but I need food.
Food, shelter, and comfort.
Food, yeah. I'm all right on that other stuff.
You are now. But where are you going to get another shirt when that one wears out?
Well, I don't know. But I'm not going to worry about that now.
When the snow starts to fly, you'll worry about it?
Plenty. I'm going to have a look around.
Tom has what any man has to work with, his brains and his muscles. So he goes to work with what he has. Put yourself in his place. Let's say you're lucky. You find some roots you can eat. You find some berries. A couple of days go by and you're still alive. But it's a full-time job. Let's say you're very lucky. You find some fish just when they're spawning. They're helpless. Now, this probably wouldn't happen to you, but let's make it easy. Let's say you get a couple of fish the way a bear does.
Miss! Look what I got!
Oh,
I just clipped them out.
I'm so hungry I could almost eat them raw.
I don't know. Want to try?
I can't. I can't.
Gee, if we just had a knife. Hey, isn't that smoke?
Oh, Tom.
Sure it's smoke. There must be somebody over there. Wait here, I'll go and see.
Where'd you come from?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
You got a fire. I wanted a fire, but I didn't have any matches. How'd you do it?
It took me long enough to get going. I've been trying to do this ever since I found myself here. I started like this. See? Then I took my shoelace and did it this way.
Gee, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And that knife.
Where'd you get it? I found the antler. I made it by rubbing it against the rocks.
Say, how about letting me use it?
Ah, wait a minute. What do you want it for? You got some food?
My wife and baby are just down the valley. We've been living on roots and things, but I got a couple fish.
You have? How big?
Oh, about like that. Nice ones.
Man, I'm so hungry I can hardly stand it. I've been working against time. I got a weak stomach and I figured I can't eat stuff raw. Look, let me buy one of those fish.
What with?
What do you think? Oh, well, I guess I haven't got any money.
What would I do with money around here?
Well, nothing, I guess. Look, let's put it this way. You give me a fish, I'll let you use my knife and cook on my fire. How's that?
Wait a minute. Maybe I'll never find another fish.
Listen, I gotta get something to eat. I'm so hungry, I'm sick, I've been working. Where are they? Back with your wife?
Don't get any idea.
I offered you a fair swap.
Give me that knife.
I'll give it to you right in the belly.
Stop it! You'll kill each other! What's come over you, Tom? You're all men acting like savage!
Tom's fighting for his life. So is the other man. Let's go back and see what this is all about. If you were thrown into a wilderness without a match or a knife or any tool, you'd be right smack up against nature. You'd be just the same muscles, the same brains, and without tools, you might stay alive for a while. You might find some kind of shelter. You'd have to have food and shelter, and you'd want some comforts. To improve your situation, you'd have to take time out to make some tools. You can't be looking for food and make a knife at the same time. It takes work and time to get fire or any other tool. Incidentally, from now on, when we talk about tools, we mean anything that helps you get more food or shelter or comforts and helps you get them more easily. Getting food or shelter is a matter of life and death. And once you get something, and somebody else has something, you come up against the idea of swapping, of barter.
Why can't we swap? One fish for the use of my knife and my fire.
Well, what's wrong with that?
I'd like to keep both fish. I need that knife and fire. Okay, it's a deal.
Life depends on food. And to fill your stomach, to put a shirt on your back or some kind of a roof over your head, there are only three things to work with. Natural resources, your human energy, and tools. That's true anywhere, any place, anytime. Let's bring this out in another way. Everything in nature was here long ago. All the coal, the iron, the forest, the oil, the water, the land. Why didn't the Indians do more with it? The Indians had to have food, shelter, comforts. Why didn't they raise better food, build better homes? Why didn't the Indians do more with all this? They had some tools. They knew how to make fire. They used fire to clear land. When the growth was burnt off, the Indian women planted corn like this, with a clam shell and a hoe made from the shoulder blade of a deer. Yes, they had tools, Stone Age tools, but they never improved their tools. And as a result, they couldn't improve their production of food, shelter, and comforts. Compare this with the pioneer farmers. Crude as the early wooden plows were, they worked better than animal bones or clamshells. Yes, they had tools, but the important thing is they improved their tools. They shod them with iron, and now we make them from steel. Powerful tractors pull them down the fields. If this farmer had lived when the country was young, it would have taken 9 farmers like him to free 1 man from the land. With a better use of brains and muscles, better use of nature, and above all, with more and better tools, the modern farmer can free 15 or 20 men from the land. That's a pretty good example of what we have. Something happened in this country to produce a titanic upsurge in human energy and spirit, to produce more and better tools, to produce more and better food, shelter, and comforts. What was it? What helped us get what we had? Let's start at the beginning. The founders of the country didn't have tractors or television sets or automobiles, but they did have a mighty faith in God and a big revolutionary idea about people. They thought governments ought to be the servant, not the master of ordinary people like you and me. Have you ever read the Declaration of Independence? Men risked their lives for the principle that in this country, at least, we the people take our rights from God and set up a government to preserve and protect our individual rights. Think that over. The signers of the Declaration of Independence declared their belief that we are endowed by our Creator with rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which nobody, no person, no group, no political party, not even our government, can take away from us. This farmer has certain unalienable rights, responsibilities, and obligations, which are his birthright under the law. This worker has the same rights, responsibilities, and obligations, which are his birthright under the law. These workers can challenge their government. which is ordered to protect their rights. And these aren't idle words. On July 4th, 1776, we declared our independence. In 1788, we ratified our Constitution. And to this day, every officer, law, and division of American government has existed solely for the purpose of protecting our unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When you read the Constitution of the United States, notice it starts off with, "We, the people," and it's the oldest instrument of government in continuous use. Our government is divided into two parts, state and federal, and each part is subdivided into legislative, executive, and judiciary, each branch independent, but a limitation on the others. This was not done for efficiency. It was done deliberately to keep anybody or anything from taking away our individual freedom. Now, let's look at the map. The federal government was to handle the national problems. The united but individual states were to handle their own problems, just as each county, city, town, and village was to handle its local problems. Problems like fire protection, police protection, protection of the streets and highways, protection and development of citizenship through public education. Things like this are the concern of state and local government. We, the people, have given our federal, state, and local governments a limited power, but we have ordered them, remember, to use that power to protect our individual freedoms. Our rights are only limited when it's for the public good. Like when you're driving along a public street. Traffic changes. You stop. You don't even think about it. But you stopped because we gave government, represented by the police officer, the right to make a stop to let the other people go through. Then, when you get the signal, it's your turn to go ahead. Limitations of our rights? Sure. But for the public good. And that's the way our country has gone ahead. Just what does liberty or individual freedom mean to you? Freedom to do what? There's New York. Just what freedoms do the people down there have? And what difference does it make? How about San Francisco? Chicago. Is life in Chicago any different from life in Moscow, Shanghai, Paris, or any other city? Is this any different from a town of the same size in some other part of the world? There's a great difference, and it starts with a great gift of freedom. Here's a farm. 2 out of 3 farms like this are run by their owners. In other words, here's what we mean by freedom. Farmers are free to save, free to invest their savings, to buy and own their own farm, their own tools, their own stock, free to produce, to make a profit or a loss. It takes time, takes work, takes management, takes saving, takes careful buying and selling. It took this farmer 20 years to build up this herd, but it was worth the effort. Nobody can fool this man about what it means to own your own farm or to build your own herd. He knows where his tools came from and what a difference they make. He started out milking by hand. Now he does it this way and doesn't have to work so hard. And he produces more and better milk and cream. He gets more out of it. And so do all the rest of us. Don't sell freedom short. Freedom to work, to grow things, to make things. Freedom to buy and sell. Freedom to save and invest. We have these great freedoms in this country. You have them. In the United States today, as you may know, we live on about 1/16 of the land area of the world. For every square mile we have, others have 15. For every worker we have, others have about 15. As far as nature and manpower go, the odds against us are about
15 to 1. Let's get this straight. All around the world, men want the same things: food, shelter, and comforts. And naturally, selfishly, want all they can get. You do. I do. Everybody has this in common. All of us must use what we can find in nature, our own manpower, and the tremendously productive power of tools. Yet in our 10 million workplaces, with odds of 15 to 1 against us, we have half the productive power on Earth. That didn't just happen. There's a good reason why we have the best workers, the best tools on Earth. Why we're about 8 to 1 better off than the rest of the whole world. How do you think this came to be? What makes us tick? Let's talk about how we got what we have in these United States, and what it means to you.
Sorry to be so late.
Land sakes, Miss Landon. You are late.
How's the baby?
Not a sound. Run off to sleep like a lamb. You look as if you could do with a little sleep yourself.
Yes, we had an extra shipment at the plant today. That always means double work.
I don't know how you do it. Well, you eat everything I put out for you and you'll feel better.
Thanks, Lord, I shall.
And there's something on the mantle that'll make you feel better, too.
I was thinking the other day of the time I asked you to marry me. Do you remember how your father was looking for his pipe while you played his favorite tune? Hanged right where it is.
Probably in your den in the pipe rack where it belongs.
That's probably why I couldn't find it. Oh, please don't stop. I'm going to ask you something. If the answer is yes, just keep on playing. If the answer is no, stop.
Yes, Stephen?
I've been thinking, maybe you've noticed, well, in any case, it occurred to me that, Ellen, will you marry me? It's such a contrast to the way we're living down here. No time for anything but work. How much longer to get this stuff aboard, Alan? About a half hour, sir. Very well. As soon as you're squared away, give him a breather. Aye, sir. Are you expecting something special? Why don't you ask the captain? Here he is, sir. You want something, Alan? Oh, no, sir. Something ammunition aboard? Last load's coming aboard now, sir. Good. Oh, how's the fever, Steve? Going down a bit, I think. You think? I'm all right, sir. You think you're able to make this run? It may be tough. I've been counting on it, sir. Tell Jenkins I want to see him. Aye, aye, sir. I guess you'll make it all right. This means tonight's the night. I'd like to have a few minutes, sir, before I dispatch the mail. Sure, Steve, go ahead. Darling, things are happening I wish I could talk about. Tonight, I have the same feelings I had the night I decided to go.
But Steve, this is a young man's war.
Well, I've always considered myself a well-preserved old man.
Oh, stop joking. How about your job? Isn't that important?
Yeah, sure, it's important. But there are plenty of other fellows who can do it.
I guess you're right, Steve. It's just that I want you here so much.
I know how you feel, honey. Because I feel the same way. But with my training, the Navy needs me. You may not hear from me for some time, but you'll be in my thoughts wherever I am.
Looks like your range is opening up a little, Hall.
Aye, sir.
Where are we now, Steve?
Right here, sir.
We should be there in about 35 minutes.
Yes, sir.
All hands. All hands. This is the captain speaking. We are now in enemy waters, looking for the Kobe Express. There may be some large ships in it. We hope to find them. When we do, I know you'll do all that's expected of you. Surface contact bearing 285, true, range 10-000. Aye, aye. Captain, surface contact bearing 285, range 10-000. Chief, that's the Express. Commence tracking. All ships, this is 3-3. Enemy contacted bearing 285, range 10-000.
All ships from Division Commander, I'm changing course to 265. Prepare to fire torpedoes.
That puts us into 65-50.
Captain, that course puts us well within effective range. Left-handed rudder, come to course 265. Come to course 265. Prepare to fire torpedoes to starboard. Half starboard, broadside fire. Prepare to fire torpedoes to starboard. Half starboard, broadside fire. Fire torpedoes are ready. Fire torpedoes are ready.
Fire 1. Fire 2.
Stand by, fire main battery. Our target is the third ship.
All torpedoes fired.
Left-handed rudder, left-handed rudder. I'm going to steady down so you can start firing. Ready to go. Ready to go.
Reports of these two large ships on starboard bow. Ship bearing 040. That was a big one. Too damn big. Take over, Jacobs. Yes?
Get it, Ben, sir.
It's all yours, Steve. Yes, sir. Get the captain to the doctor. Call the repair party. Captain's been ahead. Get a couple of engine room. Is everything all right? Good. Have you got control? I think so. Steady she goes. Steady she goes. Paul, are you all right? Yes, sir. Enemy cruiser ahead, sir. Control, this is Blanding. Commence firing on searchlight. Jacobs, give me a hand on the bridge. Tell torpedo officer to stand by the bound cruiser. What are we going to do? Get out of here? Nothing doing. We're going in. We don't get a chance like this very often. But that's suicide. Torpedo officer. Target is cruiser on starboard bow. Fire when ready. All torpedoes fired, sir. Left full rudder. Left full rudder, sir. Tell engine room to give us all they got. Engine room, give us all they've got. That ought to do it all right. They'll have to do some fancy dodging to miss those fish. We'll be out of range in a few minutes now.
I was in kind of a hurry. Horace's large night.
Of course, Rhoda. I hope I didn't keep you waiting.
Oh, no. The baby's fine, your dinner's in the oven, and there's something on the mantel. Good night.
I'm sure you'll understand that whatever I do for you and the baby is more important right now than anything else in the world. The value of these things can't be measured in ordinary ways, but must be paid for in dollars and cents, and sometimes in lives. Freedom comes high. No matter what happens, I shall always be with you.
Oh, good evening, Mrs. Blanding. It's a telegram. It's from the Navy Department.
Yes, I know.
Are you sure you'll be all right?
Yes, I'll be all right.
Yes, dear, my darling. We'll be all right.
Colonel, may we have a few words with you? Certainly. I've been expecting you. I thought you interceptor men were always in a hurry. Well, we can move pretty fast when we scramble to intercept unidentified aircraft. I see what you mean. move fast on intercept missions. But today, Major Conroy and I have a very special mission.
What is that, sir?
Today, we're going to demonstrate and explain the sonic boom from the cockpit of a supersonic aircraft, one that flies faster than the speed of sound and is designed to help us defend ourselves against other planes that fly faster than sound. Sonic boom is a very serious problem to the Air Force because it concerns people all over the United States. Major Conroy's mission will take him over least populated areas. Sonic boom is caused by an aircraft flying faster than the speed of sound. It is not, as many believe, the sound the plane makes the instant it breaks the so-called sound barrier. Soon after Major Conroy reaches 35,000 feet, he will exceed the speed of sound. He should be there now. Let's check on it. Come in, Major Conroy.
Roger, I'm at 35,000 feet. Leveling off. Now that we're more than 6 miles up, we'll soon be going faster than sound. Supersonic flight is a matter of routine with this aircraft. Flight speeds like this produce a sonic boom, and there's nothing the pilot or anyone else can do about it. You won't notice any change. We can't hear the sonic boom because it's behind us. Listen. Now we're flying faster than Mach 1. Faster than sound.
Yes, Major, no change in the cockpit, but down below, it's an entirely different matter. In peacetime, the thunder-like sonic boom is almost always unexpected, for it comes without warning. The plane that causes the boom is probably flying straight and level beyond your range of vision, beyond the sound of its engine. So the sonic boom is indeed a noisy nuisance, a necessary nuisance, for just as truly, sonic boom is the sound of security. The Air Force shares with other services the tremendous task of providing protection for this nation against supersonic air attack. The Navy and the Air Force must operate many types of supersonic aircraft, both interceptors and bombers, such as the 4-engine B-58. Since ground noise of the jets is also objectionable, the services use several devices to reduce it. Flight regulation minimizes public disturbance by sonic boom. Everything that can be done is being done, short of jeopardizing the defense of the country.
Therefore, on training missions from this base, and since we're located near the ocean, you will not exceed Mach 1 until you are above 30,000 feet and well out over the water.
Of course, there is extra danger for these men in training over the ocean. In 40-degree water, life expectancy is only 2 hours. A 50% chance of death after 30 minutes. We on the ground can help the pilots who protect us by learning to live with sonic boom, just as the pilots and their families have learned to live on constant alert in defense of our country. When we know it's not an explosion, even though it sounds like an explosion, when we know it can't hurt us other than break a window now and then, when we learn to expect it, we can protect ourselves from fear, from the fear it engenders. To do this, we must, of course, know how aircraft cause the sudden explosive sounds called sonic boom. As a boat moving on the surface of the water causes waves to fan out in two directions, an aircraft in supersonic flight disturbs the air and also creates waves, pressure waves. But unlike the surface of the water, air is a three-dimensional medium, and the pressure waves spread out not only in two directions, but in great cones of disturbance that reach all the way to the ground. So when a plane is flying faster than sound, these waves of disturbed air, these pressure waves, travel across the ground and reach our ears as sudden explosive sounds. A 1,200-mile-an-hour interceptor flying high and level could create a boom that would startle the tens of millions of people along the eastern seaboard in a mere 10 minutes. Scientific research teams and industrial firms are working on the problem, but for the present we must realize that the sonic boom is unavoidable. Supersonic interceptors are frequently sent out to identify unknown aircraft day or night. Urgency requires the highest speed possible, the most direct routing, sometimes over cities. If our bombers are ever sent over enemy territory, they will go in, bomb their targets, and get out at the highest speeds possible. Our bomber crews must train today for this eventuality. Their training ground is the radar bomb scope, where friendly cities, industrial and military installations duplicate the probable radar returns from an enemy target. We have many types of supersonic aircraft now and more to come. And fortunately, we have the men with the courage and the cautious judgment it takes to fly these fabulous machines of our defense. When you hear a sonic boom, remember, it's the sound of these airmen, ready to shield you from aggression. Noisy nuisance that it is, sonic boom is truly the sound of security.
Америки патриоты, они очень хорошие.
Speak English, comrade. Remember, that is about the only freedom you do not have in this town. It's American town.
Americans, they have too many freedoms.
That is another thing you must remember, comrade. For one day it will be your mission to destroy those bourgeois capitalist freedoms.
Frightening, isn't it? From all appearances, this community could be in Iowa, California, or Tennessee. It looks like an American town. As American as apple pie and ice cream. As a matter of fact, you can find apple pie here and ice cream too. But appearances are deceptive. This is not an American town. However, it may be assumed that such a town does exist, shrouded in secrecy and protected by utmost security, deep behind the Iron Curtain. You might call this a college town, communist style, as part of a long-range plan to destroy our free way of life. These young communists are studying the economic, political, and religious institutions that are the very heartbeat of America. The courses here in this strangest of all schools: espionage as a science, propaganda as an art, sabotage as a business. This nameless American city, deep in the vastness of the Soviet Union, it stands as a symbol of Russian treachery, of long-range communist conspiracy. This town may appear to be an accurate likeness of a typical American community, but it's a fraud. It isn't free. Now, let's take a look at a genuine American town and a genuine American. I want you to meet Jerry Donovan. He's proud of his country, but prone to take his liberties for granted. He's aware that someone must assume responsibility for the liberty, for our free way of life. Yet, when there's a job to be done, Jerry, like so many Americans, is apt to ask, why me?
Anybody home? Well, hi there, partners. What? Hey, what is this?
You fat side dick, we are late.
What?
He's on the warpath. You better send some cavalry. Take him prisoner. Tie him up on hill of red ants.
Well, now, wait a minute. I don't have no black hands.
You've been on that hill.
Now, you got this all wrong. You see, I have to be a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, where are you going? Get him hunting. Ants, lost, honey.
Oh, that's just a minute.
It's time to wash up. Then it's on the floor. Right now. Dessert in the wigwam later.
Oh, come
Well, you saved me from a fate worse than death.
Oh?
Not gonna read the good sword, didn't
Well, don't you remember you're having your union committee meeting tonight? I just want to make sure you could make it.
Yeah, they don't expect me. I told them that your folks were coming here for dinner tonight.
Oh, honey, Mom and Dad aren't due in for another week yet. Now you have plenty of time to eat, huh?
Well, you don't understand. I knew that your folks weren't going to be here tonight.
You knew? Well, then why
I
open on?
just told that to the fellas to keep them going tonight. Oh. Besides, my favorite TV show is on. You'd want to miss that, would you? Would you?
Well, Jerry, you missed the last meeting. Don't you think you should be there?
Honey, nothing ever happens at those meetings. Just a bunch of guys sitting around listening to themselves talk. Now, the important thing that really has me worried is what's for dinner tonight, stew or hamburger?
There.
Oh, boy.
You like that?
That smells good.
Jerry, would you say that I was a nag?
No more than average.
Oh, well, I'm afraid I'm going to be just this once.
Why?
This morning you told me that you wouldn't be able to make the PTA meeting next Wednesday, right?
That is right. Old Mrs. Potter reminds me of a lovesick hippo. Besides, Wednesday's my bowling night.
Oh, Jerry, can't you think of anything besides bowling and then television?
The way you talk about that PTA, you'd think it was some kind of a hush-hush government meeting to determine the future of the nation. They can struggle along without me.
Well, what about Jimmy's father-son banquet tomorrow night? He's been counting on that for weeks, you know.
Well, now that is different. Wouldn't miss that for the whole world. Besides, I wrote my speech already.
Huh?
Yeah, I've been rehearsing all week. Listen to this. Members of Troop 28 are gathered here tonight to discuss the ways and means of finding homes for Trooper Ryan's 16 lollipops. How's that sound?
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
No, I can get him for potting, all right.
Well,
Now,
right.
listen, just one more question. Just one. What about your reserve meeting? You know, you missed the last one, and you missed the one. Well, honey, you did.
All right, I'll tell you what. I will talk to my secretary in the morning and find out if my schedule will permit me to go to the next one. Would you quit bugging me?
Bill Martin, you're asking to stay for dinner.
Hey, that's good.
I wanted to talk to Bill about how his team can beat State this year.
Again?
Well, he didn't listen to me last time. Now, Bill, the list of play you've got to watch out for. Now, their quarterback takes the snap back. Right. Hands off to the left half, who goes wide.
Hey, Mom, Linda's putting coffee on her strawberry. Linda put coffee on a strawberry.
All right, you finish your dinner now.
Hi, Daddy.
Good night, beautiful.
Hi, Daddy.
Good night, boy.
Coffee on the strawberry? Oh, I never thought of
Hey,
that.
go to bed.
Is there something on your mind?
How can you tell?
Want to break my body?
Bill, this is a play you've really got to look out for.
On time. Linda?
Well, our ages and... Oh, Daddy, Mother, we want to get married. I'm sorry to bring you so suddenly, Mother. I suppose it came as an awful surprise when...
Really, sweetheart. Congratulations, Bill, and I might add, you're a very lucky young man.
Daddy?
Well, everybody's through kissing each other. I think there are a few things we ought to iron out. Now, don't get me wrong. Bill, I like it, you know. I'm not against it. Matter of fact, I think it'd be a fine idea. 4 or 5 years.
In 4 or 5 years?
You're both too young to get married right now.
Mr. Donovan, I'm going to marry your daughter. And I'm not going to wait 4 or 5 years to do it. Thanks for dinner. I'll talk to you then.
Good night, Bill.
Bill!
Linda.
Honey, now let them go. Sweet dreams.
Picture of an American retiring for the night, going to bed in comfort, without worries or problems. Well, almost without problems. Linda and Bill may mean momentary worry, but in America there's always tomorrow, with its bright promise. And problems will work out. Somehow things always work out. Now in a few minutes, Jerry Donovan will be asleep. But tonight, instead of the sweet dreams his wife wished him, let's give Jerry a nightmare. A real red nightmare. Now, you remember that Russian town we saw earlier? The town that looked like it belonged in Kansas or Ohio or Vermont? Let's lift that town out of the Soviet Union. Let's superimpose it on Jerry's hometown. And those precious freedoms Jerry so complacently accepts. Let's see how many freedoms Jerry might lose if suddenly he had to live under communist domination.
Charlie, be hurry up with the coffee.
All right. I've only got one pair of hands.
Jerry's a little confused. Things seem different now, and they should, because freedom has suddenly vanished.
Your permit number, please.
Permit number? Fred, I don't have a permit. I just want to call my house. I want to talk to my wife.
No personal calls are allowed without a permit from the commissar. You will get off the line, please.
But operator... They were dudes.
Come along, comrade.
Now that you become acquainted with the enlightened communist system, in contrast to the outdated capitalistic way of life, you are now prepared for the next step of your indoctrination, which will be most difficult. When the moral fiber of the United States weakens and the economy collapses under the pressure of competitive coexistence, you will assume control. You will move into every phase of American political and economic life. It will be your responsibility, comrades, to purge the minds of the reactionary Americans so that they will welcome the enlightened Soviet system and conform without resistance to the dictatorship of the proletariat. Again, my congratulations, comrades. Continue the good work. Say, could you tell me what... Yes, comrade. Nothing, never mind. Thank God you're all right.
I have something to do.
Gee, Helen, I'm sorry I'm late. Something strange happened. Something very strange. I was standing in the plaza...
Never mind that. But you are disturbing your children. They're meals that we consume without interruption.
I don't blame you for being sore, but I'll make it up to you. Tomorrow night we'll have an early dinner at the steakhouse. Take the kids to the drive-in movie.
That would be quite impossible. Tomorrow night you've been selected to address the Parent-Teachers Committee.
The what? There must be some mistake. They don't want me. What would I talk about? How Jimmy's team lost the Little League championship last year?
Subject of your address has already been selected for. The theme will be how the new communistic life benefits children.
Wait a minute. What if I don't want to talk about that? What if I don't want to talk at all?
I would advise you not to object. Recently the party learned that you were on the debate team when in school. They were very disturbed that you kept this fact secret from them. Experienced speakers are needed by the party. They'll make very good use of it.
Sergeant, check the kitchen. You look in the back. I'll be upstairs.
Hey! What is this? Where do you think you're going?
We have no time for explanation. Already we are 15 minutes behind schedule.
Okay, who sent your why? You're not going to take another step until I see your warrant.
Warrant? We need no warrant. As a member of the Young Communist League, your daughter has volunteered for farm work. She's to be transported immediately. The truck is waiting outside.
Wait a minute, let me get something straight. You say my daughter volunteered?
That is. Here's the signature. Requesting transport to People's Collective.
Signature on that piece of paper is false. Everything you've said is a lie because my daughter would never leave here of her own free will. You've got no right to be in this house. I'm going to give you just 10 seconds to get out of here.
Daddy? It's true, Daddy. I did volunteer for farm work.
Why?
The party convinced me that I should free myself of the lingering bourgeois influence of family life. I'm ready. Do not interfere. It is for my own good.
Calm down. Do not think that your deviation is remarked shall be overlooked. It will be reported to the proper authorities.
Hey, what's this quarter business? Today's work, comrade. Hello, Pete. Having a little trouble. Bertha doesn't seem to be in a working mood. The plate must be fixed immediately. You're the quota to fulfill. They'll all be held responsible. I'm doing the best I can. Quota or no quota, I can't do anything till I get this fixed. But I advise you work during your lunch hour. The quota must be met. The Comrade Commissar isn't interested in excuses. Yeah, overslept. The kids get off to Sunday school all right? Well, it's a beautiful day. If they get back from Sunday school, why don't we all pile into the car and go over... Hey, what is this? Someone going on a trip?
You could call it a trip, naturally. The children are going away to a state school.
Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. I don't know what's happened. What they've done to change it, but you're not going to send these kids away.
Oh, she's not sending us away. It was our idea. We learned in school that home life does not encourage the growth of the collective character which the party wishes to develop in its young people. It's your fault. You should have spent more time training us to think along party lines. As a member of the Young Pioneers, it will be my duty to report you.
You better listen to me. All of you. I don't want to hear any more talk about state schools, party lines, collective character, deviationism. This is going to be a family again, and I know just where to start. You two are going to Sunday school, and you're going right now.
Mommy, tell us.
No use to argue.
Mom!
This time, I'm going to overrule the party. Come on.
Dad!
They've been poisoning you kids with those lies long enough. Now you're really going to find out what the truth is all about.
We tried to tell you, Dad, but you wouldn't listen. There is no more Sunday school. Please take us home now, Daddy. Everybody's looking at us.
Mistake. Somebody made a big mistake. Come on, we're going to get this straightened out right now. Come on. Come on inside. Come on, Jimmy. What's happened? What have they done? Keep your voice down, comrade. Otherwise, I shall have to report you. Who put these displays in here? This is a house of worship. You are mistaken. This is the People's Museum. And I warn you once more, this place is a lie. Everything about it is false. This was not invented by a Russian. The man's name was Bell, Alexander Graham Bell. And he was an American. Get that, comrade. Everything on this table is as phony as the town. The rotten system you call communism.
Comrade Donovan, you are accused of the following crimes against the state: subversion, deviationism, and treason. You've been given this opportunity to make a public confession of your treacherous violation.
Just a minute. This is supposed to be a trial. Who says I'm guilty of it? Where's your proof?
State needs no proof. It is up to you to prove your innocence.
How can I prove my innocence if I don't know what I'm accused of? Subversion against whom? Deviationism from what? Treason against what government?
The prisoner has been given his opportunity to confess. I ask now that he be sentenced.
Now, wait a minute. You've got to listen to me. They say I'm guilty of crimes against the state, but it's the state that committed the crime. They broke into my home without a warrant. Armed soldiers. They took away my daughter. Desecrated a house of worship, placed religious objects with phony displays. They called it a museum. They even tried to turn my own kids against me. My wife. Helen, you were there. You know that what I'm saying is true. Tell them.
Mrs. Donovan, this document contains your signed statement. It proves that your husband tried to turn your children against the communist state. Is the statement true?
Yes.
Lieutenant Martin, Comrade Patriotism, Comrade Malenko. These documents contain your signed statements. They prove that Comrade Donovan is guilty of deviationism and treason. I want you to tell the court if these statements are correct. I will ask you each in turn. Comrade Kucheznov.
Yes, the statement is true.
Comrade Malenko.
True.
Lieutenant.
The statement's true.
There's no need to continue this trial. The evidence against the prisoner is overwhelming. I ask now that he be sentenced immediately.
I want to see those statements. And maybe I'll have a few words to say in my own defense.
The prisoner will step back into the box.
There is no need to examine the statements of the witnesses. The prisoner stands condemned by his own words. He has challenged the supreme authority of the state. He has questioned its practices and its decisions. And by these actions, he has proved himself to be a dangerous enemy to the proletariat. He must be treated as such, as an ugly remnant of a diseased bourgeois class. He must be eradicated before the contagion can spread. Comrade Donovan, you are hereby sentenced to be shot. Comrade Donovan. Comrade Donovan, do you know why you're here? Yes. Do you have any last requests? Yes. You really need these? I don't think I'll be going anywhere. Nevertheless, I'm afraid they're necessary. Comrade Donovan, you've been convicted of crimes against the supreme communist government. Being an enemy of the state, you must be liquidated. I have been commissioned to carry out your sentence. But no firing squad? I'm afraid not. However, the last favor from the government, you are hereby granted one final chance to confess your crimes. If you wish, a recorder will be summoned to take down your statement. I have a statement to make, all right, but you can deliver it. You just tell your government that someday its own people are going to get wise to it. Someday there's going to be enough holes in that iron curtain that all of your people will be able to escape to freedom. You're going to be able to build a wall strong enough to hold. My own countryman once said, you can't fool all of the people all of the time. Believe me, you communists can't keep fooling the entire world. Can't even keep fooling your own people. Because the news about communism is getting around. And it's only another word for slavery.
Don't worry, Jerry. That bullet will never reach you. Because it's time to bring you back from your red nightmare. What you have seen is not entirely fiction. Greater brutality is taking place right now in countries which have been swallowed up by the communist machine. We know them. Jerry is waking. Let's see if his dream has impressed him.
Helen?
Yes, darling.
Helen?
Honey, the kids polished off the eggs. Would you mind cereal?
Cereal will be fine. Morning.
Well, good morning.
Daddy, who's finding a new space helmet?
Oh, what?
He's gone from wide open spaces to outer space.
Well, we need it, Susie.
Yeah, I guess we can put you in orbit all right.
You get a space.
Hey, Mom! Mom!
Hello there.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi, Mrs. Donovan. Well, if you two kids don't have this car in shape by now, I don't think you ever will. I'd like to talk some more about that marriage business. You better catch me while I'm in a good mood.
Oh, Daddy. You got something to tell you.
No, you haven't run off.
No, that we haven't done. But we have decided to wait. Not 5 years, mind you. But at least let me finish my engine service.
That's a wise decision, Bill. Yes, indeed. I think that's a very wise decision. How about some breakfast?
Good idea.
Jerry knows now, so he'll never forget it. Responsibilities are a privilege, an inherent American right.
strength of our nation. The brave hopes of a free world are founded on the dedication of individual Americans. People who guarantee freedom by standing ready to fight against aggression, against the communist attempts at world enslavement. Freedom is not hereditary. It must be earned. Freedom has a price, and its price is vigilance. Its price is responsibility, not only of government, but of every citizen who salutes our flag. Those who serve as a part of our nation's armed might, and those who have served, they guarantee freedom's continued existence. Freedom, no single word in all the languages of mankind has come to mean so much. Freedom to enjoy the simple things of life in the circle of family and friends. Freedom to work in a vocation of our choosing. To vote in open election for the candidate we believe best qualified. To come, to go as we please. Freedom to own property. To enjoy the priceless heritage of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To marry, raise a family with belief in the dignity of the human spirit. To study in the field of our choice. To speak our beliefs. To worship God. These freedoms spell America. They represent a way of life that has become the farthest advancement of mankind on this planet. To prevent communism from consuming the entire free world, there stands but one man. That man is you.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.